Hi folks, Monty Stewart with you again for lesson 3 of the ukulele song lesson for Danny Boy. In this lesson, we're going to work on a basic finger picking pattern. This is going to be what I call a fixed pattern, and by that I mean it's going to be fixed. Pretty much we're going to do the same pattern over and over all the way through the song consistently. There will be one variation that we will use, and only in a couple of places. I think 2 times, and I'll show you how that works. Let me tell you about a real life situation. When you become proficient at finger picking, you will find that you will apply a lot of variations as you're going through the song. You want to be careful and not to be robotic by repeating the same pattern over and over and over. Now, when I say the same, no matter what our left hand is doing, our right hand is just going to be repeating that same pattern over and over and over. In the next lesson, I'm going to show you a few variations to add a little bit more color and texture and to give it a little bit more of a live feeling. Now, one thing I did not mention in the last lesson about strumming, the last 2 lessons actually, is that I'm using a ukulele with a low G. For what we're going to be doing on this finger picking pattern, a low G is going to work best because we're going to be doing a lot on this 4th string here. We're going to have some movement going on, and it's just going to sound a little bit better. People ask me, Monty, what should I get? A low G or a high G? And I say both. I recommend that you have at least one of each because sometimes low G is better, sometimes high G. In this particular case, the low G is going to work best. So let's look at the pattern we're going to use. Let me get over here. Pardon my squeaky chair. You're probably hearing that. So here's our finger picking pattern. Your thumb is going to play on strings 4 and 3. Your index and middle fingers are going to pluck strings 2 and 1 respectively. Your index finger will always play string 2. Your middle finger will always play string 1. They'll just sort of sit on those strings. And here's our pattern. The numbers here at the top refer to the count in our measure. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And the T4 refers to thumb on the 4th string. T3, thumb on the 3rd string. IM means that you're going to play the index and the middle finger together on that 2nd beat. If I had a G chord, I'm fingering a G chord right now, here's what that would sound like. Now there's where I changed to a C7. I lied, I said a G, it's a C chord, it would be a G on a guitar. I still find myself interpreting at times. And then again, we'll finish it on the T4. Now that is our pattern right there. If you'll notice, that repeats itself again in 3 and 4 and the last half of the measure. So we're just going to repeat these 4 movements right here over and over. Let's look at how that looks like when we play it. All right, here's what we're going to do. It's simply thumb on the 4th string, thumb on the 3rd string, those 2 fingers together, and then thumb on the 4th string again. Notice that that thumb repeats itself. I didn't point that out. That thumb repeats itself from the and of the 2 to the 3. 3 comes right after that, so it's playing it twice. Now, what makes it work is the difference in the accent. Actually, that's what makes this whole pattern work. I want you to listen. Let me play it and listen to the accents. One, 2, and 1, and 2, and. You get the biggest accent on the 1, and the next biggest is probably on the 2. When you pick those two fingers. 1 and 2 and 3. That 4 and, you want that to lead right into the 1. So other than the 1 and the 2, the rest of those strokes are very light. Let's look now at the one variation that we'll have in this song. That variation is going to come when we're playing a D minor chord which moves to a G chord. Now our D minor chord, the D note is actually on the second fret of the 3rd string, and that's what we're going to play with our thumb to start this part of the pattern. So it's thumb on the 3rd string, then index by itself on the 2nd string, middle by itself on the 1st string, and then thumb on the 4th string. So it's like this. Teeth on the 3rd, index on the 2nd, middle on the 1st, T on the 4. Okay? So it's thumb, index, middle, thumb. And then it goes right back into the exact same part that it has been playing. So the whole measure is like this. That's what it sounds like with the chords applied. Just holding down the C chord, it would, and remaining there, it would sound like this. Okay, let's go back over here and see that. And just keep in mind that no matter what the left hand does, we're talking specifically about the right hand here and what it does. Okay, the left hand can do its own thing and the right hand can do its own thing. In this particular case, on this pattern, it's going to start the first count of the measure on the 3rd string instead of the 4th string. This is 1, here's 2, 1 and 2 and. So it's 3, 2, 1, 4. Okay, then it goes right back to our standard pattern. Let me do this D minor to the G phrase, and we'll look at it again in the next lesson. But here's what that's going to sound like. And then it'll lead right into the C. All right, we'll talk about that more in the next lesson. So I'm Monty Stewart, and I thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next lesson where we're going to apply these patterns to the song.